Feminism Concepts and Theories, Lecture 28. Week 12, this is our last lecture, and I imagine it is the most anticipated lecture, and I'll tell you why in just a few seconds. In this lecture, we're going to look over the structure of the final exam, and I'm going to offer you a few tips on how to prepare for it in terms of anticipating its structure and in terms of attending to every kind of question. Broadly, your final exam paper will consist of the following questions. You will have your usual MCQ, MSQ, which you're familiar with thanks to your many assignments by now. Here in one set of questions, you will choose a true or false, and in the second set of questions, you will choose the right answer. A different kind of question that you may be partly used to because of the various case studies that we have done is a reading comprehension exercise where you will be given an excerpt from an academic journal article. This is about 6 to 7 paragraphs that you will be required to read, at the end of which there will be a series of questions meant to test your capacity to have understood the passage. And I will speak about that in just a little bit. Your last kind of question will be a short answer question, which will attend to material that we have covered weeks 1 to 11. So this will require that you have paid attention to the lectures as well as read the material. The answers you are required to give will be of a length 150 to 200 words. So in the next few minutes, let me give you a few suggestions on how to prepare for the exam and very specifically for these questions. For MCQ, MSQ, the tips are fairly obvious, but let me repeat them just in case. The nature of question remains the same. We might have cranked up the difficulty level just a little bit. So in order for you to get the maximum number of marks possible, please do read the question carefully just to make sure that you're not missing anything. In order to answer the question, recall the specific broad points of your lectures before you answer, and very importantly, especially for a choose the right answer question, take into account all the options given. Don't rush to answer the question until you have read everything provided on the question paper. For the reading comprehension exercise, please do read the entire excerpt first and make note of the important argument in the piece. Try and see what is the central kind of question that the piece is addressing or is structured around. Go back to refer to the specifics if required, but first do a complete reading and try and understand the excerpt first instead of trying immediately to rush and match the answer. Again, read the question carefully. It is of paramount importance also because the question need not be couched in exactly the language of the excerpt. It could test your broad understanding. And let me just give you an example to clarify what we mean here. It contains in miniature all the contradictions which later extend throughout society and its state. If the family contains in miniature all these contradictions, then it can be used as a metaphor to examine society's contradictions. Therefore, our answer cannot be D, all of the above, but it can be only B and C. Lo and behold, the answer is B and C. I hope that makes sense in how is it that you arrive at that answer. Keep in mind that you need to follow a similar process for a much larger excerpt as well. I've only given you a paragraph. The excerpt you will receive in your exam will be about a page to 2 pages. Let's come to the last kind of question in your exam, which are short answer questions. The usual logical instructions, please read and understand the question carefully. But in terms of how to write, here again are a slightly different set of suggestions, which is write down the main points of your answer first. Gather how you're going to build your answer. Write down everything that needs to be inside that answer. Create a clear introduction, middle, conclusion. Allocate all of these points to introduction, middle, conclusion so that you have a clear structure. Have a word limit for each section because the larger word limit of your answer is 200 words. Once you write the answer, please do go back and proofread, and I cannot emphasize this more. So many marks are lost because people do not proofread. Check for errors. Let's take up a quick example. If you are asked, why is Menstrupedia a good example of fourth wave feminism? Here is a suggested template for constructing your answer. First, gather your main points. Figure out, what do you know about Menstrupedia? What is it that the lecture tells you? What are stated to be Menstrupedia's goals? Define it. Second part of your question, why is it that it is part of fourth wave feminism? So let's ask the question, what are the characteristics of fourth wave feminism? And then gather all of these together to ask, how do the characteristics of fourth wave feminism match the description of Menstrupedia? Here is a possible structure. In your introduction, go directly to the heart of the question. Menstrupedia is ABC XYZ. It was created by so and so in the year so and so. Its goals are to so and so. Then ask the question, does Menstrupedia typify the movements of fourth wave feminism? Then move on to your middle to say, in order to answer this question, let's look at definitions of fourth wave feminism and what it encompasses. Fourth wave feminism, an ongoing set of struggles, can be said to be broadly led by digital and interdisciplinary media. It is also characterized by a focus on body positivity, pragmatism, and humor. The second part of the middle of your answer, Menstrupedia displays all of the above features. It is an online educational tool disseminated widely in the language of its target audience. It is pragmatic in its outlook in that it seeks results in the present moment. It also adopts humorous and everyday language to educate children about body, menstruation, and sexuality. As you move from the middle to your conclusion, give examples if you have any from Menstrupedia, then offer a conclusion, either a summary or a further question important to your analysis of Menstrupedia in fourth wave feminism. Please remember, in your response, pay attention to structure, content, fluency, and clarity, and you will be well on your way to acing your feminism paper. I hope this broad overview gives you a sense of what to expect in the exam and helps prepare you. Good luck, and I look forward to reading your answers.